Forced to work from home by your employer? Laid off or feeling depressed at home? Do you want to make money working from anywhere? We'll show you how to do it from your couch. It's time for another episode of the Work From Home Show. Coming to you from their homes in Austin, Texas and Tampa, Florida, here are your hosts, Adam and Naresh.
Welcome to another episode of the Work From Home Show. This is your host, Adam Schrader. We are today going to be re-airing one of an interview that Naresh did with Deb Krier on the Business Power Hour. This was back in early 2017. These two discuss all kinds of things about the online and digital economy. They discuss the future of digitization of multiple industries, the evolution of corporatism, self-driving cars, digital disruptions of the medical, legal, and insurance industries, the death of traditional book publishing because of Amazon. I mean, they go into serious detail on all of these, and we thought they were very relevant to working from home, and we wanted to take some time and share it with you. So listen in as Naresh and Deb talk on the Business Power Hour.
Welcome to the Business Power Hour, hosted by Deb Krier. Join us as Deb talks with her guests, experts in their fields, as they share real-life stories and techniques to power up your business.
Good morning, good morning. I am Deb Krier, and I am passionate about working with professionals to show them how to use the variety of marketing tools to promote themselves and their businesses in order to become the best success that they can be. And so today we're going to have so much fun because joining me is Naresh Vissa, and he is an expert in all of this. So please join me in welcoming Naresh.
Thanks so much, Deb. It's a pleasure to be on.
Great. Well, for people who don't know about you, let me read your bio here very quick. So Naresh Vissa is founder and CEO of Krish Media and Marketing, a full-service online and digital media and marketing business consultancy, agency and solutions provider, utilizing strategies to streamline sales and branding processes. He has worked with leading publishers, media firms, and institutions such as CNN Radio, JP Morgan Chase, Everbank, the Institute for Energy Research, Houston Rockets, Houston Astros, the American Junior Golf Association, Agora Publishing, and Stansberry Research. Born and raised in Houston, Texas, Naresh played a lot of chess and basketball, a few instruments, and fought his way to a first-degree black belt in Taekwondo. He graduated magna cum laude from Syracuse University's honors program with degrees in broadcast journalism, finance, and accounting. He earned a master's degree from Duke University's Fuqua School of Business. Naresh has been featured on USA Today, Yahoo, Bloomberg, MSNBC, Huffington Post, Business Week, MSN Money, Business Insider, India Today, Hindustan Times, and other domestic and international media outlets. So again, Naresh, welcome.
Thanks so much, Deb. It's awesome intro you had right there.
It's always so much fun to get to know about my guests because for the most part, I have never met my guests and we've only met online. And that's what is so cool about this. Sometimes it's through social media, sometimes it's through other things. But this day and age, we don't meet a lot of the people that we actually do business with. And that's what makes the technology and all of those things so cool. I still like meeting people in person, but it is so much fun to be able to meet people virtually, develop great business relationships, and maybe never actually meet them face to face.
You bring up a good point, Deb. I actually started my first company, Krish Media and Marketing, while I was a college student from my dorm room at Syracuse University. And when I went in full time on it, years later, when I said, you know what, I'm just going to do my own thing and grow this business, I never got offices. I've been doing it for almost 4 years now, full time.
Cool.
And have never rented out office space. I have about 12 to 14 people, contractors working for me around the world. I only met about 3 of them for the first time when I went to India earlier this year. So I haven't even met most of the people who work for me. And then my business partners, not with Krish Media and Marketing, but with 2 other businesses I'm involved with, I've only met one of them a handful of times, maybe 3 times. And then
Right.
my two other business partners, well, one other business partner I think I've met again 2 or 3 times, and
Mm-hmm.
then the last business partner, I've never even met him, and but we still talk every day.
Right.
We're texting. We don't even talk on the phone. We're texting
Mm-hmm.
or we're emailing, and we talk all the time. And it just goes to show that productivity and value can be created, not just by, in-person contact. Now today,
Right.
really the real value and the real creation is going digital. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's what I've been able to do. And as a side note, even personally, I met my girlfriend not in person, but through a dating app as well.
Uh-huh.
So those are really picking up, and lots of people have found uh, significant others and partners
Right.
through those as well. So
Mm-hmm.
whether you like it or not, that's a way the shift is moving towards.
Mm-hmm.
And moving forward, for those who are in the corporate world and who have to show up to the office every day at 8 a.m. and leave at a certain time and go to all these meetings, those companies and those people are in for a rude awakening. The next
Right.
recession that hits is really
Mm-hmm.
going to give the corporate world, it's going to give the corporatists an excuse to cut costs, to cut
Right.
dead weight,
Mm-hmm.
and so, that's just a warning to a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. Well, and by operating just virtually or digitally, we're cutting out a lot of, shall I say, the clutter. You mentioned that you don't even talk on the phone with one of your business partners. You just text and email. So you're cutting out the, well, what'd you watch on TV last night? How about those Astros? All of those. Now, you may still put a little of that in there, but, think
No,
of
not
when you're
much.
when we're in an office, how much time do we, I'm not going to say waste, but how much time do we spend on that chit chat? Now, the kind of flip side of that is maybe that's why Facebook is so popular, is because that is kind of where we're doing our chit
I was
chat.
just gonna mention that.
Yeah, yeah,
I
but it's
get enough,
controlled.
yep, I get
Hmm.
enough of that chit chat just by logging into my Facebook
Right.
account.
Hmm.
And I don't even want to know. I haven't asked any of my corporate friends, but during the US election, I don't even
Hmm.
want to know what the office environments
Right.
were like during that
Oh,
period,
oh,
you know?
I know. It had to have been very careful within the offices, because it was an election that brought out the passions in people. We'll just put it that way. um, but yeah, and we can do so much now with a desktop system. I'm still old school. I have the big desktop system with two big monitors, but that just kind of helps me with what I'm doing. But how many businesses now are run completely from an iPad and a smartphone? I mean, it is incredible.
Oh yeah, Deb, everything is going digital.
Hmm.
And I'm not exaggerating when I say that, because people say, well, how are the restaurants supposed to, how are you supposed to eat food? How are you supposed to get the food and eat the food? Well, that's going digital too,
Right.
because more and more, there are actually restaurants now that are starting to replace waiters and waitresses with almost like robotic,
Right.
some robots,
Right.
and then
A
and
little
or a
screen or
self,
something.
right, or a self,
Hmm.
McDonald's has
Hmm.
started implementing these
Yeah.
these self-serving type self-ordering
Hmm.
kiosks.
Right.
So it's happening there in areas that you think are physical. Let's say, for example, I brought up dating, for example.
Hmm.
That's going digital. Um, and now more than ever, the 20th century businesses need to adapt to the 21st century. And the
Right.
way to do that is to go digital, because those who have the digital presence, those who understand the digital environment and leverage it to their
Hmm.
advantage, they're going to run away from their competition.
Right. Right. I mean, you mentioned food and things like that. Look at how many restaurants are now delivering food. Or more importantly, I don't even have to go to a grocery store. I can have things delivered. And I ordered it by going to their app. Amazon has it. Some of the bigger retail grocery stores have things like that. And And so again, they're downsizing their staff. Now, there's probably always going to be people who want to go in and, pick up the tomato and smell the tomato and, do all of those various things. But, it's very nice to be able to place an order at 2:00 in the morning for my groceries, and all these various things. And I grew up in Colorado in a mountain town way up in the middle of the mountains. I mean, the closest grocery store now to that town is 65 miles away, and it's literally in another state. And so, you go to Wyoming to do the majority of your shopping, or you drive further and you go to Colorado. And, so we planned ahead. When you went shopping, you did a month's worth of shopping at a time. And now we're spoiled. Like I said, I get on my phone and I order something, and I don't even care that it costs $5 to deliver or $10 to deliver, because I'm thinking about the fact that it saved me time and gas and all of those other things to not do that or to not have to go in.
Yeah, absolutely. And going back to your point on the clutter with my business, so I'm what I call a digital entrepreneur. My businesses are online. I do a lot of e-commerce, online type of work. And we have lots of people who either work for us or work with us. And because we were able to get rid of that clutter, we're even more productive. Because
Right.
if I'm done with my work for, the next 5 hours or so, then I can focus on myself and improving myself personally, professionally, physically,
Right.
emotionally, which at the end of it all helps me be more productive. So I work when I need to work, whereas in the corporate world where you have to physically go in, you're waiting around a lot, you're chit-chatting
Right.
about things that don't matter.
Mm-hmm.
The office politics and drama. I actually I
Oh,
come
yeah.
from the corporate
The
world.
water cooler.
Yep,
Mm-hmm.
I come from the corporate world, and that's why I know about all this stuff. I worked at one
Mm-hmm.
of the largest banks on Wall Street.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I also worked for one of the largest private and independent financial publishers in the world, and I've seen all this stuff, and it's just a huge waste of time, and for the company, it's a huge waste of money where
Right.
they're paying set salaries with healthcare and all these perks and benefits when the amount of productivity they're getting, they could be getting that if they just outsourced it to a company like
Mm-hmm.
mine for
Right.
really a much, much lower cost and a higher
Mm-hmm.
return.
Right.
So again, the next recession that hits is going to give these companies an excuse because the companies are starting to catch hold of this,
Right.
and already they started outsourcing to overseas. The
Mm-hmm.
next recession that comes is going to give them an excuse to get rid of full-time employees
Right.
and to shift their business models. In some
Mm-hmm.
industries, like the oil and gas industry, they're already facing that. They're
Mm-hmm.
already going through that cycle right now.
Mm-hmm. Well, and so many companies are figuring out that it actually is better for their employees to work from home. Yes, there are some times where you might need to meet face to face if for some reason you can't do it on Skype or something like that. But, sometimes somebody might be their most productive at 1:00 in the morning. And plus you have issues with, somebody's got a family and maybe they have a sick child. So you can have them come into work and be worried about that kid all day, or they can be home with the child, or maybe they're the one who's sick. I mean, how many cooties have been spread in offices because somebody,
Yep,
they came in sick for whatever reason. Just think if they were sitting at home, on their laptop, on, their computer, whatever, they're still able to do their work and sit there and cough and hack along.
exactly, exactly. So
Right.
working from home carries so many, you know, I for you and me, Deb, it working from home might be an easy thing because I've been
Mm-hmm.
doing it
Right.
for nearly
Mm-hmm.
10 years. But for what I notice is a lot of my peers, they say, "Oh, I can't work from home because
Right.
I would just watch TV all day or I
Mm-hmm.
would just, do this or that."
Yeah.
That is now working remotely in an efficient and effective manner is going to become a skill set that
Mm-hmm. Oh,
employers,
definitely.
that
Mm-hmm.
clients are going to be looking for because
Mm-hmm.
again, it saves a lot of money
Mm-hmm.
for the company, but it also shows that that you're focused on your work.
Mm-hmm.
You're
Right.
focused and that you're self-motivated, and that's a very good quality to
Mm-hmm.
have. So
And it is about being focused when you're here. I keep regular office hours. Now, does that mean that I don't go and do something during the day, or I'm not checking business email at night? No. But people know that, from 9 until 5, that's pretty much when I'm working. So don't call and want to just chit chat. Now, yes, I usually have Facebook on, but if I'm having to focus, I turn it off because I am kind of that, whoa, squirrel type of person. But it does take, sitting down and thinking, this is the way I'm going to function. And you're right. If you can show an employer that you can do that, they're thinking, wow, I'm saving on overhead because I don't have to have an office space for you. If you still get the work done, they really don't care if you've done it at 1 o'clock in the morning in your jammies. As long as the work's done, the work is done.
absolutely, and it's funny how many of my clients and affiliates or even some partners, some partner companies, they think I have this big office and all these different people, who show
Mm-hmm.
up to the office and work for me because we get the work done and our
Right.
turnaround time is really second to none. We're very
Mm-hmm.
efficient. Our
Mm-hmm.
communication is extremely strong, and people just assume that, oh yeah, he's managing a team of people at his office in
Right.
Florida. But part of the reason why the processes are so efficient is because we're all separated. And
Mm-hmm.
my folks who live overseas, when I send them work, I know I can go to sleep, and when I wake up, the work is going to
It's
be
done.
done.
Right.
Whereas here in the United States, you hear I'm a part of several groups, not business, not for profit, but not nonprofit type of groups.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And for someone to design a logo, for example, they say, oh yeah, give me, it'll take me 2 months to design the logo. And
And you're thinking, really?
no, and it's just one of those things where it's a 20th century corporate mentality because
Mm-hmm.
at companies you can get away with designing a logo for 2 months
Right.
because you're getting paid every 2 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
and so you can spend 2 months on this logo.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in our case, clients come to us, we charge way less money, and our turnaround time for anywhere, let's say it's a logo, let's say somebody needs a
Mm-hmm.
logo, our turnaround time, instead of 2 months, we'll turn it around in 2 days.
Right.
So again, this is a good thing. The digitization is a good thing for
Mm-hmm.
it's really an opportunity for entrepreneurs, for independent consultants to
Mm-hmm.
do their own thing. It's a good thing for companies because they're saving money. They're getting
Mm-hmm.
more for what they pay for. And at the end of the day, it is spurring more innovation. It is creating more efficient processes, and
Mm-hmm.
all that's going to do is lead to more innovation. And
Right.
talking about the election again and just politics in general, a lot of the politicians, in fact, I would say most of the politicians, they don't understand this because
No.
most of them don't run their own businesses.
Mm-hmm.
And the ones who do, like Trump, for example,
Mm-hmm.
um, he and Mitt Romney and all these other businessmen turned politicians, they come from the 20th century.
Right.
Um,
Where they've got huge staff and
exactly,
Mhm.
exactly. So when the politicians are talking about, I'm going to create X amount of jobs and do this, and this, and just create all these jobs, and people are going to get to work, none of these people understand at all the
Mhm.
way, the reason why, first off, there are such few jobs. It's not because
Right.
of qualification. It's not
Mhm.
because of, the businesses aren't growing or whatever. It's because there are now easier, more efficient ways
Mhm.
to run businesses. And yes, the days of having an admin assistant who you pay $40,000 a year to
Mhm.
manage your calendar or to do a bunch of Excel spreadsheets, those days have ended because again,
Right.
you can now outsource all that for
Mhm.
$10 an hour, probably less than that now.
Mhm.
And
Right.
I just signed up for a service where I have a virtual administrative assistant, and
Mhm.
she's a robot, and she reads all my emails, and
Wow.
based on she looks at all my inbox, she analyzes everything, she sees how I
Mhm.
respond, and she does everything, not everything, she does a lot of stuff. 40% of my day to day I don't
Mhm.
have to do anymore because she does it for me. She
Right.
responds to
Ooh, I love
emails.
that.
Yep, exactly. And she's great, and she's not even a real person.
Hmm. Well, I mean, just the fact that hopefully she can go through all of the spam that you get. I mean, that's a huge chunk of time. If you look, say I'm reading my email on my phone, I can look at who it came from and the first line, which is what shows up on my phone, and tell is it spam or not. And so, then I swoosh and away it's gone. But that's 5 seconds or so. And so, I mean, I get probably 100, if not more, spam emails a day. 100 times 5 seconds. Oh, I can't do that math in my head, but that's a big waste of time. And, to be able to automate that process is incredible.
Oh yeah, and it only costs, I think, like $40 a month. I'm on a free trial right now, but I think
Hmm.
it's a brand new product, and so
Cool.
far so good. And it only costs like $40 a month. So
Hmm.
again, that's that's a great deal for me. I don't
Right.
have to pay it. I don't even have to outsource to some
Hmm.
country that's not English speaking,
Right.
and
Hmm.
they might be messing things up.
Hmm.
This lady knows my habits, my language, and everything. So again, this is just another example. Um, Innovation, the internet destroyed many jobs. Yes, it
Right.
did. The internet
Hmm.
and
But it created just as many in other fields.
15 years ago, my job didn't exist. It
Right.
didn't exist.
Right.
In 15 years
Hmm.
from now, I can guarantee you I'm going to have my job function is going to be very
Hmm.
different than what it is
Right.
today.
Right. And that's where companies, as we were saying, have got to either figure it out or they're going to get left behind. And that so then what's going to happen is excuse me, a lot of people will go into business for themselves. And or they will, as you mentioned, they will start outsourcing things. And so you've written several great books, and that was why I wanted to have you on, because your books are very educational, very informative, and they provide a lot of great tips. And I've only read one of them, but and so I'm getting ready to read the other one. But you wrote 50 Shades of Marketing, Whip Your Business into Shape and Dominate Your Competition. And then you also wrote Podcastnomics, the book of podcasting to make you millions. So first, before we ever talk about the books themselves, why did you decide to write books?
Uh,
Because you talk about that. That's in 50 Shades of Marketing.
yep.
See, I read it.
Well, first off, the intro, what we've discussed thus far in this interview is
Hmm.
essentially why I wrote 50 Shades of Marketing and what 50
Right.
Shades of Marketing is about. So it's about the
Hmm.
digitization of everything. Now,
Hmm.
I got into the practice of writing books because it's something I always wanted to do, even when I was in high school, maybe in middle school. I've always
Hmm.
liked writing. And
Cool.
if you have a lot of ideas and thoughts and nobody, cares to hear them because they might be kind of boring, well, then at least you can just write a book and publish
Hmm.
it and, a market will find it. And in the case of
Right.
Podcastnomics, 50 Shades of Marketing, my new book, The New PR, in these cases, I'll tell you, Deb, uh, 99% of my friends, they don't care at all about these topics.
Hmm.
They want to know who's playing tonight. They want to,
Right.
what are we doing tonight? Where are we going
Hmm.
to go out and party? That's what they want to know about. But these books are very, very beneficial to business people. So
Hmm.
if you combine my passion for writing with my experience as a digital entrepreneur and as
Hmm.
a direct response marketer, I combine them, what I call
Hmm.
idea sex, where
Hmm.
you have a couple of different ideas and they have sex with each other, and boom, now you have a book on
Right.
marketing or on
Hmm.
podcasting.
Hmm.
So that's how I got into writing. I love it. It's almost an addiction.
Ah.
Just like podcasting, I know
Hmm.
is an addiction. Once you get started, you just can't stop. If you
Hmm.
make it through 8 months, then you're addicted. Uh,
Hmm.
Book writing is the same way. Once you get started, you just can't stop. And
Right.
I would say every 1 to 2 years, I'm probably going to release a book until I run out of ideas. And it's
Hmm.
largely because I want to help people. I believe I have some knowledge and expertise that I want to share with the world.
Hmm.
And given today's digital landscape, it's now easier than ever to share that information with the world
Right.
and to make an impact. So I
Mm-hmm.
see that impact on a daily basis when, you reaching out to me to do this interview and to pick my brain, people
Mm-hmm.
tweeting me on Twitter, people joining my mailing list, sending me emails saying how I helped them get their podcast started or how I changed the way they do this in their business.
Mm-hmm.
People reaching out, people writing reviews on Amazon. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who these people are, but they're writing
Right.
reviews, whether they're good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate the feedback. I'm happy
Mm-hmm.
that I resonated in some way with these people.
Right.
I even had someone in Africa email me saying that they bought my audiobook and they were listening to it to improve their English speaking and
Mm-hmm.
to also learn about the digital economy.
Right.
And they're from some village in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
So that made me happy.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. Well, in your book, 50 Shades of Marketing, you talk about the fact that a book is a great promotional tool. So, kind of talk some more about that because I think it is. I think it's something that everybody who is in business needs to think about doing. And, why? Why is it a good marketing tool?
So now is when I get to talk about the selfish part of me. I talked about the helping people and making an impact. Books are a great marketing tool because
Hmm.
you automatically become an authority figure. And
Right.
especially if your book sells well, like 50
Hmm.
Shades of Marketing and
Hmm.
Podcastnomics, and now the new PR, which I just came out with, which is selling incredibly well. If they
Hmm.
sell well, and if you have a lot of reviews on Amazon, good
Hmm.
reviews, you're doing podcast interviews and getting media coverage and all that, you've become an authority figure. And
Hmm.
once you become an authority figure, it kind of compounds. The publicity, the authority, it compounds. So people look to you as an expert in that topic. So
Right.
what does that mean at the end of the day for me? For me, it means more business
Hmm.
for my different ventures. So for Krish Media and Marketing, my online business solutions provider, my books have helped me get speaking gigs. They've helped me get clients. They've helped
Hmm.
me in just a variety of ways when it comes to establishing my credibility and building up my resume, my digital
Hmm.
resume. I don't
Right.
even have an old school paper resume anymore because people can just go to Amazon or my website or
Hmm.
just Google my name to see everything.
Hmm.
So
Right.
that's certainly one way that books have helped me. The other way is, again, I said if the book is selling well, you also get paid. And writing a
Yeah.
book,
Hello.
yeah,
Yes, we like that
we
part.
like that part. And so writing a book is the easiest way to collect payment. Unlike with client work or even with customer work, where you're talking to credit card companies about chargebacks or hunting down clients for payments and sending invoices and this and that. I
Hmm.
just get money deposited into my bank account at the end of every month based
Hmm.
on the number of sales that I've gotten. And if the
Right.
books sell well, if they do well, then that money's coming at the end of the month. You don't know how much,
Hmm.
but
Right.
if it's
Hmm.
selling well, there's something going to be coming.
Hmm.
So the more books you write, the more money you can make. Now, I
Hmm.
don't recommend that people write books as a profession. Being a
Right.
full-time
Unless, yeah.
author
Hmm.
is a very, very difficult profession. And I'll
Hmm.
tell you as well, if you're looking to make money off of selling a book, you're going to be disappointed because at
Right.
the end of the
It's
day,
a means to the
it's
end.
a means to
Hmm.
the end. So the book is a lead generator where you're
Hmm.
getting money in the form, you're getting leads, but you're also getting, you're getting a couple of nights out a month, a couple of
Right. Hmm.
nice nights out per
Hmm.
month. But on top of that, the means to the end part, you're getting a lot more in return over the long haul, whether
Hmm.
it's through the speaking engagements or the media publicity. Again, publicity is very expensive to purchase. If you want to hire
Hmm.
a legitimate publicist, you're talking about
Oh, it's a lot of money.
you're talking
Hmm.
about a minimum of $7,000 to $10,000 a month.
Hmm.
You write a book, people are buying it, now all of a sudden you can get free publicity. You can
Hmm.
get people covering it. You can get people to interview you. So you're
Right.
saving money on that end. And then, of course, on the client side or the customer side, people are finding you and contacting you and they want to, do business with you.
Hmm. Well, and you detail in the book publishing has changed so much. It used to be that you had to go get an outside publisher. It had to be a certain length. You had to hire an editor and blah, 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 blah. And so in the end, maybe you made 10 cents on every copy and, all of those various things. And now it's so much easier. You can do an ebook. Maybe you only have 50 pages worth of whatever it is that you want to talk about. That's okay. And or maybe it is something that's, a long piece. You can outsource the editing, all these various things. Obviously, unless you're a graphic designer by trade, you're going to outsource the cover, all of the things that go along with it. And it really is, we probably shouldn't tell people this, but it is pretty easy to write your own book. That said, it still has to be well written. It still has to have good content. You can't just say, hey, I'm going to write a book and write the book, but it's a great marketing tool that so many people overlook. So that's why it is such a great marketing tool.
You bring up a good point on the publishing aspect. It is now easier than ever to publish a book. Before, you needed those gatekeepers. You needed a big publishing house to get your work out there and to distribute. Now, really, thanks to, again, innovation, digital business, places like Amazon, really, it's easier than ever to distribute your book. And in my case, all my books are available on paperback, Kindle, which is a digital ebook, and audiobook, which is also digital audio. So, and through, they're sold on not just Amazon, but BarnesandNoble.com, iTunes, Audible. These are big platforms with tens of millions of visitors every month. So it's easier than ever. At the same time, that does not mean just because it's easy that everyone should do it. Because I have countless friends who said, you know what, I'm gonna write something, just write something, put it out there and make a lot of money. And they put it out there, and some of them, I would say all of their books combined probably have sold less than 10 copies. And it's largely because there's still a marketing aspect that goes into it that the author is still in charge of. Even if you go with a big publisher, you as the author are really responsible for marketing the book. Number two is low quality content does not do well because you might have got 1 or 2 sales. Those people probably read it and said, so horrible book. I'm not going to review. I'm just going to forget about what I just read. If it's something really quality, really good that resonates with people, if you do a little bit of marketing, the marketing compounds. So in the case of Podcastnomics, I thought Podcastnomics, when I wrote it, I thought it was kind of a boring primer on podcasting. And I published it. And early on, it did well. It didn't do super well. It did well. Like I sold, within the first month, I think I sold like 500 copies of the book.
Oh.
And so it did well. But what took it to the next level was I started I ran some marketing campaigns, and that immediately what it did was it jumped from about 500 sales during that first month to like an additional 200 sales within a week. So now all of a sudden I got all these sales in 1 week, and Amazon, the people, the distributors, they made note of that. They're like, there are a lot of people buying this book over a short period of time. Like, this must be pretty good. And they started marketing the book for
We're going to
me.
feature it.
Because they get a cut. If they sell more of the book, they make more money. So they started featuring it and doing all this free advertising for me. And more than 2 years later, the book has gone on to sell more than 5,000 copies.
Wow.
In paperback, Kindle, and audiobook. And it's still selling. Even though I would say about 15% of it is outdated, it's still selling.
And the concept is still good.
And the concept is still good. So it's doing incredibly well. And I'm not even marketing. I don't put any. I sleep. I wake up every morning and I see, I sold 4 copies of Podcastnomics while I was sleeping. So the point here is the reason why the book has done well is because the content has proven to be of value to the reader. And that is reflected in the reviews. I think I
Right.
have like 4.6 out of 5.0, like
Wow.
50 reviews on Amazon.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And again, yeah, I got maybe like 3 or 4 friends to review the book, but the rest of
Mm-hmm.
the 45 reviews are, random people who just found the book
Mm-hmm.
somehow. They bought it, they liked it, it helped them start their podcast. Some of the people have hired me to do additional work. So overall, again, if you're going to write a book, it needs to be of value. It must
Mm-hmm.
be well written, and it cannot be some 5-page short story.
Right.
Now,
That's a blog post.
right, right. One trend that I've noticed is that uh, relatively short, not like super short, like short stories or blog posts,
Mm-hmm.
but like shorter books, let's say paperback around 50 to 100 pages,
Mm-hmm.
are do far better now than the 300 page, 400 page books.
Mm-hmm.
And in my case, I've just seen this through my own case study where I have 3 business books out: Podcastnomics, 50 Shades of Marketing, and then my new one, The New PR. There are 3 books out. Podcastnomics has done the well. It's also the oldest book, but the new the new PR, which just came out like 2 weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
that book has already it's almost caught up to 50 Shades of Marketing on the audiobook
Mm-hmm.
side, and it's only been out for about a month, and
Wow.
it's I've almost already overtaken 50 Shades of Marketing, and the new
Mm-hmm.
PR is super short. It's like a 50-page
Mm-hmm.
book. So
Right.
what I'm noticing is that the shorter books, people are valuing those more than these super long books that have
Right.
so much
Right.
information. They're great value because they're like an encyclopedia, they're like a
Mm-hmm.
Bible, but
Mm-hmm.
there's so much stuff in there and they're so long. I don't know what it is, but they're just not selling as well
Mm-hmm.
as these like shorter kind of shorter, more
Well,
concise
yeah,
guides.
we're busy and we want something that we can either read quickly or listen to on a commute. I love Audible books. And it's funny because typically when I do an Audible book, it is fiction. But if say I were driving back and forth on a commute to wherever and had 15 minutes, each way, if you're listening to a book that's going to go on for hours and hours, that takes a big commitment. And and a lot of cases you're not going to get through it because you get sidetracked, something else comes up. Whereas if it's a short audio book that you can listen to in just a couple sessions, wow. And then maybe you'll even go back and listen to it again to catch what happened when you were at the stoplight and all of those various things. So I think it is probably a function of the fact that we're just busy people and we want to consume stuff quicker and faster.
Maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. So anyway, there's a market there now for these shorter, to the point type of books. So
Mm-hmm.
I do recommend. I think everyone has a book in them, but
Mm-hmm.
the process is long. It's
Right.
complicated. It's hard.
Mm-hmm.
I know people who can't even write a paragraph if you ask them to.
Mm-hmm.
So if now we're talking, if you can't even write a paragraph and you need to put forth, a 60-page book, that's why 99.9% of people are going to be discouraged. I have
Right.
countless friends who come to me and they say, I want to write a book. I want to write about my life story, or I want to write about, my profession and some innovative changes in my profession. And I'll tell them how to do it. I'll inspire them for a night. And then
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to actually sitting down and writing the first paragraph, they give up and they just say,
Right.
you know what?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to write a book anymore.
Mm-hmm. Well, and so many times, we look at that blank screen, that blank piece of paper, however it is that you're doing it, and we want that first paragraph to be absolutely perfect. And it's probably not, if really to start with, and it may never be. It's funny. I went to a book reading one time by an author, and it was a fiction writer. And he said that, when he would write, he would get so caught up in, is that word spelled right? His grammar, all of those things that he just kind of stopped. And so he literally started writing his books with a paper bag over his head. And that way he couldn't see what was on the screen. And so he just did this brain dump. And that's why a lot of people do it audio also. They're recording it because they're doing that brain dump and getting it out there. Then they go back and either they edit or they pay somebody to edit, and they put it into the book. And it's a much, I wouldn't say easier process, because again, it's like you said, it's not an easy process, but maybe that is a better method for somebody to use.
Well, so I actually talk about, I've been writing a book also does not mean sitting in front of a computer and being an amazing writer. Um, again, with 21st century, it's easier than ever to actually write the book. And so the process that I recommend people take is there are now apps you can download on your phone that
Right.
transcribe your voice. So you could do that, or you can pay for a better transcription service online. It'll cost like, just a few dollars. And you can just record yourself talking, and it will transcribe everything. And there you have, like you and I in this conversation, I could send it to a transcription
Right.
technology, and they'll transcribe it instantly. We just send the MP3 file, they put it through their system, and boom, they transcribe something.
Right.
And it'll be probably a 20-page conversation. So there's 20 pages that you could turn into a book. So a lot of people do that already, where they're not writers, but they're talkers. And so they transcribe themselves. And then once you have that transcription, you can then outsource that to a good editor who will get that and put the pieces together. And then boom, you got your book.
And so, yeah, maybe you are doing it as you're driving somewhere, or, after everybody's gone to sleep for the night or whatever. There's, it's back to what we've been originally saying. Technology is making it so much easier to do things.
Absolutely. And it's going to it's going to continue to move this way. The innovation that's happening, not just in Silicon Valley, but around the world. The medical industry is about to, already it's gotten disrupted a bit, but it's about to have some major, major changes and overhauls. The insurance industry, same situation. I know me personally, I'm now out of Obamacare insurance because I found a new kind of 21st century organization that provides insurance in a much more efficient manner because they've utilized the 21st century resources available to them. The legal industry has already gotten disrupted by independent attorneys, and it's ripe for even more disruption. I know several people personally who have either created legal companies that use technology to streamline the process to prevent lawyers from milking clients. And again, it uses technology to do that. I have a client who's working on a company that's really going to publicize legal disputes rather than going through a courtroom. The public essentially will settle legal disputes.
So it'll definitely be the court of public opinion.
So it will definitely be a court of public opinion. Now, of course, you can still file lawsuits and go through the legal process,
and
but
you have to agree to the terms and all that. It's like an arbiter.
Exactly. So the industries are really, all industries are going through a transformation, and of course, like any change, people don't like change. It's just human nature. At least initially, there's always going to be pain. There's always going to be resistance. But over the long haul, the human body and the human mind is a really, really good at adapting. So adaptation occurs, and over the long haul, it works out best for everybody.
Right. Well, you mentioned the medical field. Virtual doctors are, more and more, coming up, and whether it's that it's a remote area, you mentioned Africa before, rural America, all those various places where, you don't have a doctor. I talked about the fact that the grocery store was 65 miles away from where I grew up. The closest hospital was 65 miles away also. And so to be able to have a virtual doctor, that would be great. Is it for everything? No. And obviously there are times they're still going to say, you need to call an ambulance now, but for a lot of things like my cold, I've had this cold that has hung on for a couple of weeks. I don't need to spend 2-3 hours out of my day going to a doctor and paying that cost when, and of course there's that too, is, there's a cost to it. And it's, taking time out from me doing my job. If I can just connect with a doctor online and talk to him about my symptoms, maybe go in front of the monitor so he can see, all those various things. But, maybe I had hives, that way he could see that. That's a huge benefit.
Well, you can do that now. There are several apps now where you just go in, you put in your credit card or debit card, and let's say you're out in the mountains and you fall down and sprain your ankle and you can't walk. Well, if the mountains have internet, or if they have, if you get service there, you just take out your phone, you can go into the app, and then you can hit the contact doctor button. It puts you in touch with the nearest doctor within the network of this app, and then you FaceTime with that doctor. You tell him your problems, and then the doctor will just call the pharmacy and prescribe the medication and say find a way to get to this pharmacy, and you're all taken care of. And then it bills your credit card $20. At least that's what the fee was a few years ago. Maybe it might be different now, but it just bills them $20. It bills you $20. There's no insurance, so there's no headache of collecting and calling the
is there
company,
a copay?
claims,
Is there,
there's no headache on that end. You pay out of pocket. It's $20. It's a quick 5-minute call. Nobody's driving anywhere. Nobody's being transported anywhere. You're stuck in the mountains with a hurt ankle, and so it works out for everybody. There are various programs like this now on the apps, in the app front. I know now more of these concierge doctors who are understanding the digitization of medicine. They're now called digital doctors. And I know here in Florida, in Tampa, there's one doctor who claims that he has more than 3,000 patients, probably close to 4,000 patients. And the first question anyone has is, how on earth do you see all these people every day? And he says, I don't. He's a family physician. And he says, they text me, they Skype me, they FaceTime me, they call me, they do all these things. And so the number of people who come in, we don't even fill all of our slots because they pay a monthly subscription, you can call it, just to get access to them. And so they're allowed to use them as much as they want through this monthly subscription.
Right.
And so, if they're paying, I think it's like $70 a month, and if he has 3,000 patients, all paying $70,000 a month, you could do the math to see how much he's making.
Right.
And he says people prefer, because some people say, well, what's to prevent, if they have unlimited access to you, what's to prevent them from just hanging out at your office and abusing the system? And he said, people don't want to spend their days driving to the doctor's office and,
they have other things to do.
Exactly. So he said he had like 2 patients who did that, and easy solution. He just gets rid of them and says, I don't
have a little chat with them.
I don't even need your business anymore. Go find another doctor. That's what he did.
Right.
So, again, he's a digital doctor. People FaceTime him, email him. They do all these great things. And he's able to, for family practice, he can do that. Now, if you need a quadruple bypass heart surgery, then, there's really no working around going to a hospital and being operated on. But again, in the future, there's all sorts of innovation and technology being done right now. As I know in the urological space, the amount of robotics that's being done.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yep, exactly. So I'm not saying robots are going to be doing the surgery, but it's only a matter of time until they start assisting physicians with these various issues.
Well, and, the equipment that they can use now, when they're able to do it with, computer aided, computer guided, whatever the heck it is that they call that, they're making a tiny incision because there's a camera that's going in there as opposed to, the 12-inch incision. And, they're going in with these very, very small instruments, and they're doing just the minimal amount, and the patient heals faster, all sorts of things. There's just so many benefits to it. And it's great. I got to play with one of those machines when they when they got one at the hospital here near me. And it was incredible what you could do with zero training, and it was like, wow, just think if you were the cardiologist who was using it, or, somebody like that. And, so it speeds up the process. It's, all those various things that, having the addition of technology is just going to benefit in so many ways.
Yep, absolutely. And I'll tell you, this is a personal opinion. I know someone like, my parents probably come from a different school of thought, but I trust technology a lot more than I do trust people.
Right.
Because if you take, for example, a promotion, all right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're looking for a promotion at a company and your boss comes back to you and says, you know what, Deb, you're not the worker I thought you were, and as a result, I'm not promoting you. Now
Mm-hmm.
compare that to a machine telling you this is what your productivity is, this is how much money
Uh-huh.
you've made to the firm. As a result, we're not promoting you because you're not meeting these standards.
Mm-hmm.
I'd trust, the computer more than some
Right.
random person's personal
Yeah,
opinion.
because and that's subjective. They may just not like you.
Exactly. Exactly. And in the case of medicine, for example, it's not a question of a doctor not liking you. It's just doctors have differing opinion. That's why people seek second
Right.
opinions all the time, and
Mm-hmm.
third opinions, fourth opinions. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I know a poor lady who had an issue, and she went to every doctor imaginable around the country to
Mm-hmm.
try to cure whatever illness she had, and they all said, I don't know what the issue is, and they all
Mm-hmm.
said something different. So it's not a question of, a doctor not liking you or anything. It's just you want someone who can find the problem and treat it. And in the case of a computer, they're able to go through case studies. They're able to go through history and the data of whatever's in their system and tell
Mm-hmm.
you exactly what you have or the way to cure it.
Right.
Whereas a
Mm-hmm.
person, again, you're dealing with all these opinions, these second opinions, third opinions,
Mm-hmm.
and you, as a patient, you don't know what's right and you don't know what's wrong. You don't know who's just trying to milk you for your money. You don't know
Mm-hmm.
what's going on. And so,
Right.
just purely from a trust perspective, I prefer, digitization is a good thing. Technology is a
Mm-hmm.
good thing. This is my
Right.
personal opinion. If you were to ask my father, for example, he'd tell you, I have my favorite doctor and whatever he
Mm-hmm.
says, I'm doing, you know.
Right. And that's fine, and it works just fine for him. And the cool thing is that we have the ability to do both. And I don't think that's probably ever going to go away. I think we will trend more and more digital, just for the reasons we've been saying. But people will have the ability to, if they want that personal touch, they can have that personal touch. If they want to do it on the screen, okay, they can do that too.
Yeah, and again on the digital side, the computer can be wrong.
Right. Oh yeah.
I don't want to
It's
idolize, yeah.
only as good as what's been given, been inputted.
It is, and there are, I was reading about a case that happened at UC San Francisco, which is a leading academic medical institution, where a patient was overprescribed something because that's what the computer said. It said,
Mm-hmm.
prescribe this much dosage,
Mm-hmm.
and now the difference is it's not like the computer said this, and then the medication was just given to the patient. The computer said this, then it went through a specialized physician, then
Mm-hmm.
it went through a pharmacist. All these people
Ah,
had to
they
approve,
missed it.
and they
Mm-hmm.
just were like, "Oh yeah, the computer's right. We're
Right.
good." And
Mm-hmm.
then the person took the medication, and they ended up having a horrible situation. I don't. They
Oh
might
dear.
have even died.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember, but something bad happened. And so in that case, it's like, all right, we use computers and technology to make decisions, but if we're going to have people who are getting paid money,
Mm-hmm.
they still need to do their job. They can't just show up and eat
Yes,
during
they
their
need to
shift or
double
sleep
check.
during
Mm-hmm.
their shift,
Yep.
So again, especially now where technology is just now coming up, there are going to be glitches. There are going to
Mm-hmm.
be issues. These
Right.
self-driving cars that are coming out, we saw one or two accidents for the first time
Right.
this year.
Mm-hmm.
There are going to be problems initially when they come up,
Mm-hmm.
but with those problems come changes, tweaks, enhancements, advancements, so that they can be even better. And when that self-driving car comes out to the public and the public is able to purchase it at affordable prices, we know, okay, it's going to be a worthwhile, it's going to be a reliable, safe car. Now, will there be accidents or fires or whatever? Yes, there will be. But if you compare that to the number of accidents we see today with everyday people driving the cars, especially here in Florida, where car insurance rates are higher than any other state in the United States, you'll see a reduction when that does happen.
Right. Well, and Florida is a great example because now this is a guess, so I could be really wrong on this, but I'm assuming that for many of the drivers in Florida, they're, shall we say, a little more mature.
Yep,
it's people who've
reason.
retired down there.
That's a reason.
And and so the computer is going to. The computer doesn't age, so it can judge that distance. It knows that's 50 feet away, as opposed to a human eye looking at it thinking, well, I've got much longer to stop. Or it can, the computer can react much faster, all of those various things. So that's where, it really could be a benefit. People that, have become housebound because they couldn't drive for whatever reason, maybe they're blind, maybe they are older, all of those various things. They can get a self-driving car and wow, they're mobile again. I mean, just think of that. That is cool.
Oh, it's great. And not only is it going to help old people, or more mature people.
Mature, that's it. See, you're young.
Okay, yeah.
I can tell you're young.
Mature, not only will it help mature people, but if you think about all the headaches you have to deal with when driving a car. So you have to always be alert. You're thinking about, work, you're thinking about family. And then location is another issue where you're thinking about traffic. Now with the self-driving car, the number of accidents are going to go down. The location isn't as important as it used to be because now you can just kind of chill out. These cars have Wi-Fi. You can do your work in the car. You can, do other things in the car. You can watch a movie, whatever it is. So it's almost like you're at home, except you have a vehicle that's taking you places. The way that these are going to operate, it's almost going to be Uber-like, where you don't even have to own a car anymore. You just take out your phone, you call for a car, and 5 minutes later it shows up, and you just get right in, and it takes you to your destination. So you don't have to deal with auto insurance anymore, with maintenance. It's really going to make the lives easier for almost everybody, and it's going to have an effect on various industries for better or for worse. It's going to have effect, like I mentioned, auto insurance. I mentioned, real estate, because location now isn't as important as it used to be. It's going to affect residential real estate. It's going to affect so many different areas. And I'm excited about, I actually have a client who has a self-driving car, and he sends me videos all the time where he's just driving around talking about how cool it is. There are some limitations to it. There are times when he has to take the steering wheel. Maybe once every 30 minutes, he has to take control of the steering wheel, but it at least alerts him and says, hey, take control of the steering wheel.
Danger.
Exactly. So, technology is, they're going to be, the status quo is always going to be skeptical of technology, but we wouldn't have made it this far as a society, as an economy, without technology. The printing press revolutionized the way business was conducted. The computer, both Apple and Microsoft, revolutionized the way work is done. The internet revolutionized the way businesses are run. And now moving forward, and then again, the iPhone really revolutionized the way that many businesses run their day-to-day operations. And so all these things, the culmination is going to give rise to even more technology to make our lives and to make the business world much, much more efficient.
Right. Well, holy cow. we have talked for an hour already. I mean, I'm just, and this is just fascinating to me because aside from anything else, I'm a huge science fiction fan. So, I want the car that flies, all of those various things. But we really didn't even talk about your books. And so all that means is we just have to have you on again. But it's been great. So tell people how they find you online and how they can buy your books.
NareshVissa.com, NareshVissa, NareshVissa.com. That's where people can find out more about me. There are links to my books on that site. And then that people can also get my free content that I send out through my newsletter at NareshVissa.com. And if they want to go directly to my books, they can just go to Amazon, type in my name, and the books will come up. The 3 books are Podcastnomics, my best-selling book, Podcastnomics. Then there's 50 Shades of Marketing, which I think is my best book, even though it's not the best-selling book.
I really enjoyed reading it.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I think that's my best book, even though it's not the best-selling. It's probably going to end up not even being my top 2 best-selling, but I think it's my best book. It's very comprehensive, and I think it provides the most value out of any of the other books. And then my brand new book is The New PR, which is quickly catching up with Podcastnomics. That is all about, again, 21st century PR, because as we talked about earlier, the PR industry, publicists, they're so outdated. They charge an insane amount of money. It's almost a big scam. The New PR exposes that scam and teaches people how they can be their own publicists.
Cool. I love it. I love it. Well, Naresh, I have been having such a great time talking to you, and I can't wait until we talk again, because this really has been very informative, and I think my listeners have gotten a lot out of it too. So thank you so much for being a guest.
Thanks so much, Deb. It was a pleasure talking about this.
Perfect. Well, and to everyone out there, have a great week.
All right, that's it for today's show. We'll be back on Monday with another episode. Go check us out at workfromhomeshow.com. That's www.workfromhomeshow.com. If you want to reach out to us, send us an email. hello@workfromhomeshow.com. That's hello@workfromhomeshow.com. Until then, keep on working from home.